Hey YouTube, welcome to Sunkerns Lab. I know I haven't posted a video in probably over a week by now. I apologize for that. If you like my videos, I'm sorry. I had some stuff going on and I really didn't have time or the space or the privacy to post, or to narrate rather. So, it is what it is. It was brought to my attention recently that I ramble a lot in my videos and I just talk and talk and talk, and I already knew that, but I didn't realize how, unappealing that might be to somebody watching, so I'm going to really try my best to cut it down. So with that said, I'm not going to ramble about anything else. I'm just going to get right into the battle. Looking at this guy's team, he's got the Volcarona, the what's that thing called? The Venusaur, and the Infernape. Wow, can't think of the names of these Pokemon. He has 3 huge threats on his team, but the great thing about it is 2 of them are walled by Heatran, and the Infernape is pretty much walled by the combination of Heatran and Gliscor, which is my defensive core. So I'm pretty confident that I can take this guy's team on. I was kind of a little bit scared of that Hitmonlee though, because if he gets an Unburden boost, he can pretty much drop my whole team if my Gliscor is dead, so I really have to be careful of that. But other than that, his team looks pretty standard, and I'm pretty confident that my Heatran is going to do a massive amount of work in this battle. So yeah, let's just get into the battle. I'm going to lead off with my Thunderous T because I figure I can just Volt Switch out on anything. And if he leads with his thingy there, his Fortress, I can just go for, I can go for the Volt Switch, break his Sturdy, and go to Heatran to kill him. But he ends up leading with his Ninetales to get his Sun Up, which is a good move, I guess, because I don't have any weather. He does end up going for the Flamethrower, though, which is really terrible for him because I end up getting the Flash Fire boost off of that. And even a resisted Flash Fire, even a resisted hit, from this Heatran on that Ninetales is going to do a lot in the Sun with a Life Orb, never mind with a Flash Fire boost. So, it clean 2 KOs, it would be, it's just, that's a crazy amount of damage for a resisted hit is what I'm trying to say. But basically I'm just going to stay in here, go for the Fire Blast, kill him off eventually with a Earth Power after missing a Fire Blast one of those times, and whatever. But he ends up bringing his Infernape. Now, I know for a fact that he can't lock himself in Flare Blitz, which makes me confident going to my Gliscor safely. So for that reason, I'm just going to hop right into my Gliscor, and basically at this point, it's a matter of whether he's going to switch out into his Fortress or his Venusaur, whether he wants to set up Hazards or set up a Growth. So either way, I decided to go for the Taunt because this is a taunting substitute set, not a sub-protect toxic set. And for that reason, I decided to switch into I decided to go for the Taunt, and then I switched in my Heatran, predicting his switch into his Fortress. Predicting his switch into something, I don't remember. But then he switches into his Volcarona, which is fine, because like I said earlier, my Heatran pretty much walls this Volcarona to the point where I can OKO with a Fire Blast, and he can't even, it's like a 9-hit KO with Bug Buzz, so he's really not going to be doing any damage to me. So I end up killing him off. He lives with the Focus Sash, and I take him off with Earth Power. He gets a free switch into his Infernape, and I go into my Gliscor knowing that he's not going to lock himself into Flare Blitz once again. But he ends up U-turning out, which was a good play in his part, predicting my switch. And he U-turns out into his Hitmonlee, and I'm not sure why he could have U-turned out into anything he wanted, but he ends up U-turning into the one Pokemon that I basically completely wall worse than any other Pokemon on his team. He goes for a few Stone Edges, and I end up getting a free sub up. And at this point, he pretty much realizes that no matter how many times he hits me with Stone Edge, it's not going to work out for him because I'm always going to be a step ahead of him, and eventually he's just going to die. So he decides to save his Hitmonlee either for Death Fodder or something, and bring in his Fortress. I'm assuming he wants to set up a Stealth Rocks here because it takes a good portion out of a lot of my team. So he ends up I predict that go for the Taunt. He does go for the Stealth Rocks, and I'm able to taunt him into basically forcing him to switch. And I'm basically predicting him to switch into his Venusaur, because if he switches into his Venusaur and sets up a Growth, if he has Hidden Power Ground or something, he can really do a lot of damage to my Heatran, so I really didn't want him to set up a Growth. So I decided to go for the Taunt, let him break my sub as I go for an EQ, weaken him a little bit, and I could have easily switched into my Heatran, but I decided to switch into my Jirachi because, why not? If I can get something paralyzed, it's only going to be better for me. Excuse me. But he doesn't switching out, probably predicting either the Body Slam or, well, anything really, because he doesn't really want to take anything with that Venusaur. But he switches into his Fortress, predicting either the Body Slam or the Iron Head or whatever he predicted. and he's able to get up his Stealth Rocks, but that does give me the opportunity to switch in my Conkeldurr, and this Conkeldurr is a monster. It's a sub focus punch set with max HP investment, and let me just tell you, it takes that volt switch like a monster, and then it takes another U-turn, doesn't even break the sub. I was actually predicting that to break the sub, so I went for a substitute again, but he ends up not even breaking that sub with the combination of a volt switch and a U-turn. And I know those aren't the most powerful moves, but I mean, wow, that's really something. I really can appreciate Conkeldurr's bulk when things like that happen. But he does U-turn out into his Hitmon lead, basically as death fodder, because he doesn't really have anything else that wants to take a focus punch or a Mach punch. So he ends up switching out into his Hitmon lead, lets it die to a Mach punch, and then he switches out into his Venusaur, breaks my sub, and I take it out with an Ice Punch. But then he brings in this Infernape. Now, the Infernape has two choices. It can either lock itself into Close Combat or Flare Blitz. One of the two. Now, at this point, I know for a fact that he's probably going to lock himself into Flare Blitz because the switch into my Gliscor is pretty obvious because I've been doing it all game. So what I decided to do is switch into my Gliscor, bait him to stay in with the Flare Blitz, get a free switch into my Heatran, which in turn allows me to go for a free Fire Blast, take out that Fortress for basically free. It does it with a Sturdy, of course, but I'm able to take it out on the next turn with an Earth Power. Now, I could have easily preserved my Gliscor, and it could have came in handy right here, because he's obviously has no choice but to lock himself into Close Combat, because nothing else on his team can really, nothing else on my team really wants to take Close Combat that much, opposed to a Flare Blitz, which is I'm gonna be immune to. So he ends up locking himself into Close Combat, and I could have switched into my Gliscor there and saved the Pokemon, made it a 6-0, blah blah blah, but I ended up just going into my Conkeldurr, going for the Mach Punch. I wasn't really too concerned with keeping the score as high as possible. I just wanted to make the safe plays, not do anything too risky, and possibly throw the match for myself. So that's the game. It was a pretty easy match. I shouldn't say easy. It took a little bit of prediction because he could have played a little bit better, but then again, you know, that's how it is. Sometimes you face people who are really good, sometimes you face people who are not so great. So, you know, I found this match enjoyable, and mainly because it showcases, you know, this team, but basically just a SubPunch Conkeldurr. I love SubPunch Conkeldurr. It's so powerful. Anytime you fire off a Mach Punch, Focus Punch, you may as well just assume something's dying. So, anyway, once again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to try my best not to ramble, so as you can see on your screen, you can click the buttons for my previous or my next videos, or to subscribe to my channel if you liked this video, or if you like my videos in general. So, anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.